Hello everybody, good afternoon, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Erik ten Hag press conference reaction for Manchester United's game against Bournemouth. So he's been speaking about Marcus Rashford and talking about the current situation with Rashford, acknowledging that his form isn't where it needs to be, and actually there's a very clear pathway back into the team for Rashford, but it's completely up to him. We'll talk about what Erik ten Hag had to say about that. He also spoke about the situation with United at the moment, 3 points off City. Where does Ten Hag see United going over the next few weeks? I think he can see us going higher. Also spoke about Luke Shaw, the importance of him, the Bayern Munich game and how that might impact his team tomorrow. The return to McTominay's goals, has it surprised him? And also I think, excuse me, I think one place we do need to start off with as well, and it's got to be worth smashing a like on the video, is my lovely jumper. No, it's not that. It's the fact that Erik ten Hag has won Manager of the Month, Harry Maguire has won Player of the Month, and Garnacho has won Goal of the Month. That's a treble we can celebrate. It might not be the trebles you can celebrate with this lovely Christmas jumper with our treble-winning Baubles team, but it's still a treble for Manchester United from the Premier League. Remember, this is a Premier League award. He's Premier League Manager of the Month. Harry Maguire is Premier League Player of the Month, and Garnacho obviously is Premier League Goal of the Month. I mean, God, if they'd given that goal to bloody, I don't know, Haaland for a tap-in, I'd have lost it. So, congratulations to all three involved. We spoke about Maguire the other day. I don't know whether we announced it too early or something, because I think we knew about Maguire. But Ten Hag getting Manager of the Month, I think is great. It's great. Trader, thank you very much and welcome to the Members Club. Thanks for supporting the channel. Get your little badge next to your name now. But I think the Ten Hag one is significant because 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, people were saying Ten Hag out within our fan base. I don't care about the media. I don't care about, you know, all that nonsense. But I do care because we are a community. As a fan base, we're a community, and we might not always agree, but I don't mind if someone on Talk Sport says Ten Hag out. I don't mind if, you know, someone on Sky says Ten Hag out, because ultimately they're not United fans. But when you hear a United fan say Ten Hag out, get this person out of our club, it worries me. Even if those people, you know, are prats, they're still Man United fans, and it worries me when I hear Man United fans saying Ten Hag out, and it gets me thinking. So I think for Ten Hag to win Manager of the Month, that Chelsea win was so significant. It gives him time, which is what he needs. He needs time. We need to get this ownership thing sorted, and we need to start building the club with a proper CEO, a proper director of football, a proper infrastructure, and I want to build the club with Ten Hag. So, you know, I think some people did jump a little bit early on the Ten Hag out thing. I think they felt there was a momentum and they wanted to get on it early. It's a bit like Bitcoin, isn't it? But look how wrong that was. But the point is, I think some people jumped on the Ten Hag thing too early. They might get proved right, but I think they did. And hopefully some of those people are going to come back to Ten Hag in now. God knows how he's done that. Emery by a mile, says Tom. I mean, look, I'm not here to tell you that Harry Maguire should have won Player of the Month. I'm not here to tell you Ten Hag should have won Manager of the Month. I didn't really look at it in any detail, but they did win it, and you know, I think we've got to acknowledge that and see it as a positive to build on the Chelsea result from Wednesday night. But anyway, Ten Hag was asked about Marcus Rashford, and I think this is the most interesting point. Was Malp says, was Luckhurst and Code banned again? No, I think they were there. I think they were there this time. But look, he was asked about Marcus Rashford, and he said, look, you know, how is Marcus Rashford reacting to being out of the team? It's the right question to ask, by the way, as well. I know sometimes we hear in these press conferences they get obsessed with certain players. We've heard it with Maguire in the past, and you know, then we've heard them not asking questions about people like Varane, etc. But I think this is the right question to ask, because when you look at the Chelsea game and the amount of chances that we created, how could you ever consider putting Marcus Rashford, Pellistri, Martial into the team tomorrow? So I think the question is, how is Marcus Rashford coping being out of the team when, you know, the prospect of coming back into the team at the moment isn't very, very good? Well, Ten Hag made a very, very good point. He said, look, at the end of the day, Marcus Rashford's an incredible player, but 11 players isn't enough. You've got to play a squad game. He can't play all of the games, and he's just not in the form he was last season at the moment. It's up to him if he wants to get back into the team. The 11 that we pick at the moment will always be the best players based on who are the best 11 at the moment that are available. And you pick your best team. And that is up to Marcus Rashford to get back into the team and anybody else who wants to get back into the team. I think he's right. And I think when you look at the... when you look at the Harry Maguire situation, it reminds me so much of a Matic situation a couple of years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago, where I thought Matic was done. I was watching him play in the midfield. He was like a bag of cement. He was slow. The fans in the ground were getting on his back. Remember, he sort of looked at the fans, not very happy because he was doing... Everyone kept saying he was slow and doing the sideways pass. And then suddenly Matic just had this renaissance where he was absolutely incredible. And I think that is... I mean, Ten Hag wasn't the manager then, but I think it's happened with Maguire as well in the summer. The club wanted to sell him to West Ham. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. The club wanted to sell Harry Maguire to West Ham. They wanted to sell him. It doesn't matter whether you're a Maguire fan or you're not a Maguire fan. The club wanted to sell him. It's not about what we think. The club wanted to sell him, and therefore Ten Hag wanted to sell him. He had the captaincy taken off him. Publicly had the captaincy taken off him. They wanted to sell him. They took the captaincy off him. He was nowhere near the first team. You could argue he was fifth choice centre-back, even behind Luke Shaw. And then injuries, opportunities present themselves. He gets picked for England when he's not even playing for Man United. But then opportunities present themselves. He takes those opportunities. He wins Player of the Month. And is quite rightly, as Ten Hag said, at this moment in time, he is in Man United's best 11 team, if you're picking Man United's best 11. And, that is one, to be commended, but is two, it shouldn't be a lesson to other players. It really shouldn't, but you feel it actually is. It shouldn't be a lesson to a Manchester United player that you need to work hard and take your opportunity and be consistent with it. But the lesson is there. So whether you're Marcus Rashford or you're Mason Mount when you come back, or whoever you are, I think that's the thing that's important, is you've got to put yourself in the best 11 players. And when you get your opportunities, you've got to be consistent. We can't pick players on reputation. We can't. When Casemiro comes back, I'd like him straight into the midfield. When Martinez comes back, I'd like him straight into the defence. But what if, over the next few weeks, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire, who I think have to be our best centre-back partnership, I think they complemented each other really well in the second half against Chelsea. Chelsea were hurting us for pace on the break in the first half. As soon as Luke Shaw came on, him and Maguire just worked really, really well. Like Varane and Maguire worked really well last season. So I think that if Luke Shaw and Maguire play really well for the next month, and then Martinez comes back, and the left-back's doing well, Martinez shouldn't automatically take that place. And that's the way it should be. So I'm all for Ten Hag creating an environment where the best players play. And Marcus Rashford will get his chance. I personally think that benching him, dropping him, whatever you want to call it, will be better for him than just picking him every week when he doesn't deserve it. So I actually think Rashford, he 100% will get a chance, and he's got to grab that chance. And if you're Garnacho, and if you're Anthony, and if you're Rasmus, you need to be aware that Rashford is coming for your place. And therefore they've got to be on their toes as well. If I'm Garnacho, I'm like, I can't let go of this spot. Garnacho's the one. He wants your spot. And yet Garnacho's probably the most secure of the front three, but Rashford wants his spot. And if he can't get that, he'll take Anthony's. And if he can't take Anthony's, he'll take Rasmus's. So Rasmus, Anthony and Garnacho need to play well every single minute of every single game. And even then, Rashford might come on for the last half an hour and do better. So this is good. This is what I want. I want competition for places, and no player should be getting into that team on wage or reputation. So look, Rashford shouldn't start tomorrow, but his chance may well come. Amazing that they've acknowledged what we know. Ten Hag is a brilliant manager. Looking forward to a long future in his tenure, says Ash. And big shout out to Logie, who has joined the members club. You can do that by clicking the join button, get your badge next to your name. Thank you very much for that. And Eric Ten Hag wants a left-footed centre-back in the left centre-back position, not right-footed players, says Rigi. Well, yeah. And what a good sub that was by Ten Hag with Luke Shaw, says Andy Mack. It was brilliant. So let's go through some of the other things Ten Hag had to say. He was asked about the turnaround from certain players in his team. Amrabat, we saw it on Wednesday. We've mentioned Maguire. We've mentioned the goals from McTominay, Anthony on Wednesday as well. And this is what Ten Hag had to say about it. He said, look, we've got a squad And you need internal competition. You can't just have 11 players. You need a lot more than that. And what you want from those players that aren't in the team, and I suppose it goes back to Rashford as well, is you want players to play themselves into the team. And we've seen that with Anthony and Amrabat on Wednesday. We've seen it with Maguire over the last month. There are players that have played themselves into that team. I mean, as I say, a few weeks ago, I don't think anybody would have put Maguire in the team. I don't think people would have put Anthony in the team. But after Wednesday night, you know, and people were writing Amrabat off as well. And after Wednesday night, people are like, Amrabat's got to start. And it was Mainu. Everyone was saying Mainu's got to start, but I think tomorrow everyone would say if it's Amrabat or Mainu, you've got to keep Amrabat in the team. He deserves to keep the place. And in a way, I think that's a good thing because Mainu's a young player. We don't want to be totally reliant on a 18-year-old that's never really played first-team football. So, yes, Ten Hag is right. These players are working their way back into the team, and it's a strong message to, you know, these other players, whether they're toxic or not, we don't know, but you've got to work to get in this team. And that's all I want to see. And I guarantee you, when it comes to Erik Ten Hag, he will look at that game against Chelsea. He will look at that front six of Højlund and Anthony and Garnacho and Amrabat and McTominay and Bruno, and he will say, 100%, that is what I want. And I've not seen that all season. A front six that presses together relentlessly with fullbacks backing it up and a high line from the centre-backs. This is what I want to see. And he's got to stick with those players. He was asked about, you know, a lot of people saying that Man United are in crisis this season. But when you look at the league table, only 3 points off Man City. What are your thoughts on that, Eric? He said, look, we know where we are and we know where we're going. We had some real setbacks this season. Injuries have been a big problem. Decisions have gone against us. And I think obviously you've got to throw into things like that Sancho, the Anthony issue, etc. So there's been a lot of things going on. He says you've got to deal with it, and we have dealt with it. We're fighting back. We're improving. But, and he really made an emphasis on this, we have to be sharp every game. Everyone is killing everyone in this league, and you've got to be sharp every game. And I think this is the response. Don't care, the personal at the end, I want United to win, says Mohammed. And I think this is what we're talking about when we keep hearing about players. Oh, I'm training too hard. I want more days off, this, that, and the other. This is what Ten Hag will not relent on. And we mentioned it on the morning show. It seems to me that there is this attempt to undermine Ten Hag because he wants the players to work hard. And I've even heard some United fans calling in on TalkSport or on social media saying that, yeah, Ten Hag's training them too hard. That's why we're not playing well. And I'm like, I can't believe it. We're now criticising a manager for making overpaid players that haven't performed work harder. When would a Man United fan ever come on the side of the players that they're working too hard? Come on. And what Ten Hag is saying is, in this league, West Ham beat Spurs last night at Spurs. Everton wiped the floor with Newcastle. Let's just home in on this for a moment. We beat Everton 3-0. We go to Newcastle, they spanked us. I know it was only 1-0, but they spanked us. Newcastle go to Everton and get beat 3-0. Make it make sense. We beat Everton 3-0 at Goodison Park. Newcastle smashes. Then Newcastle go to Goodison Park and get smashed. And that's where Ten Hag is right. This league, everybody's killing everybody if you take your foot off the pedal. Wolves should have battered us on the opening game of the season. We never should have won that game. And they absolutely ran us off the park. So all these people who are saying, oh, you know, Ten Hag's working the players too hard, or any player that goes, I'm being worked too hard, he's doing it for that reason. Bournemouth tomorrow. Listen to what he said about Bournemouth. Bournemouth are in a very good run of form at the moment. They're well coached. They've got good construction in their side and good players. We've got to play our best. We've got to be 100% ready every game because everyone is killing everyone in this league. And he's obviously fully aware of that. Ten Hag is silencing the critics, says Mario Franco, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The squad is not good enough. Can't believe we ain't buying in January. And you know what, Mario? I completely agree with you with that. There will be losses. I keep saying this to everyone. We're going to lose games before Christmas. We're probably going to lose at Liverpool. There might be another loss as well. We'll lose after Christmas. This team, if it gets top four, is going to have to battle for it. We're not going to get it on ability. There's too many problems in that team. We're not good enough. And that's not because of the coach. We're just not good enough. Ange has done very well at Spurs. West Ham beat them. Eddie Howe's doing brilliant at Newcastle. Everton beat them. Ten Hag is right. Everybody's killing everybody. Villa wiped the floor with Man City on Wednesday night. This is a very exciting, competitive league if you like watching football. Like I do it on That's Football. You're very welcome to join me tomorrow. It's going to be great. But from a Manchester United point of view, we will lose games. Newcastle destroyed us. So Ten Hag is right. You've got to be sharp. You've got to be on it every minute of every game. And I think this is the problem that United have had for years. It's that consistency or the ability to play for 90 minutes. I remember with it, was it Van Gaal who was second half FC? Mourinho was second half FC. Ollie was second half FC. You know, sometimes we're first half FC. We've got to be 90 minutes. And if you're not, we could lose against Bournemouth tomorrow. I fancy us to win, but we can't. It's not just turn up to Old Trafford and they'll bend over and take it. It's literally they will come and have a go. They're in good form and we will have to match them. And you have got to be sharp and you've got to give it. Look at the Chelsea game. I was worried at 1-1 at half-time because we'd put so much into it. We'd created so many chances and you think, are we going to run out of steam? Started the second half a little bit slow, but so did Chelsea. And then suddenly we got hold of the game again because you've got to play for 90 minutes. Competition for position is critical, says Pran. Every week we are comfortable with new players. It helps us to win 80% of our games rather than favouritism. Look, I agree with you, Pran. And look, maybe tomorrow Garnacho has a bad hour. I hope not. Marcus Rashford comes on and scores 2 goals. Suddenly you've got a decision to make for Bayern and maybe Garnacho sits on the bench. This is natural. This is what we want to see. Because Ten Hag's right. It's not about 11 players. It's about 15, 16 players all fighting for places. And that's what we want to see without a shadow of a doubt. He was asked about the Bayern Munich game and preparation for that. Andy Mack says, when Klopp first went to Liverpool, he worked the players so hard they were dropping like flies and ended up winning the league. Spot on, Andy. And Cyber says, hi, Mark. I still don't trust Erik Ten Hag because it's the same cycle. We get lucky and forget and sweep it under the rug, says Cyber Monkey. But we didn't get lucky on Wednesday night. We weren't lucky on Wednesday night. I thought we were a bit unlucky that it was only... I'm very tired. It was only 2-1. We should have won that game 3 or 4-1. I think it justified it. So I don't think we've been lucky. But what I will say is we're probably going to lose at Anfield. And prepare yourself for that. Because I am preparing. I can't prepare the emotion. I'll bloody hate it. You know, I was behind my chair like this last time. One eye I was looking out from behind my chair like this. So, you know, these things could happen again. But it doesn't mean he needs to be sacked. Makish is in London, ain't you? So, yeah, look, we're not back. We're not back. That's the bottom line. We're not back. We're just building. And... you know, I sort of agree with people. I look at that United side. And look, can I say something controversial, actually? He was asked about Scott McTominay, and he said, are you surprised about the goals he scores? And he said, no. If you put him in the positions in and around the box, he will score goals. I know that will happen. So it's about creating those positions. I know that. You know that. How many years have we been saying Scott McTominay in the opposition's box is fantastic? In our box is a liability, and anywhere else on the pitch is... mediocre, sometimes okay, sometimes terrible, the invisible man. But in the opposition box, very, very good. And it doesn't matter whether you really like McTominay or you don't like him or you think he's average or whatever. It's not easy to score the amount of goals he's scored this season in and around the box. It is a skill. And, you know, it's starting to make sense to me why he gets picked so many games by so many managers. Because I imagine in training, you don't play 11-a-side games. You play 6-a-side, 7-a-side. Well, I can imagine McTominay in training probably scores a lot of goals. I was thinking about this actually on the train back from London yesterday. I had this light bulb moment where I went, I get it. I get it. I've never got it before, but I get it. And I'm an idiot for not getting it. I never understood why Rangnick, Mourinho, Ten Hag, Solskjaer kept giving McTominay chances because I just don't see it. I think he's a very, very, very average midfielder. But what we've seen this season, the consistency of goals for Scotland and Manchester United, if you're in training in Carrington every day and McTominay's doing that in these smaller games, which he will because it's a smaller pitch, you're like, he can't stop scoring and he's a midfielder. I mean, there's definitely something there. And I think that's why so many managers have stuck by him, because there is something there. Goals. The problem we're going to have, and this is controversial, but I'm going to say it, the problem we're going to have with McTominay is, how do you really fit him into the team if you want to go to the high levels? Because really, I think you've got to drop Bruno, which obviously we're never going to do, but in a way, I think it might not be a bad idea. I'm not dropping Bruno. That's not what I'm saying. And I can see the faces there. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? We talk about United and we talk about how Casemiro and Amrabat and Mainu have got overrun at times this season. And that's because you've got Bruno and McTominay. We get overrun in the midfield when we get broken upon. Football's a very simple game. Chelsea in the first half, we get overrun in the midfield when we get broken on. And we get broken on when a team counters us. And that's when there is no midfield, or there's just Mainu on his own, or Amrabat on his own, or Casemiro on his own. Why do we get broken on like that? Because we're trying to be ambitious in the opposition's box. Bruno's up there, McTominay's up there because he can score goals. But when they break, we're vulnerable. So does Ten Hag stay playing like this and back us to score more than the opposition? Or do we try and be a little bit more secure in the midfield? Well, that means Bruno or McTominay has got to drop back. And if they drop back, they're not in the place where you want them to be. So, and then you've got Mason Mount to come into the equation. So I'm looking at this with real interest. I'm going, McTominay in the opposition's box is scoring a lot of goals. Bruno, I think, is incredible. Mason Mount's going to come back. But I don't think there's a midfielder in world football that can hold a midfield on their own. So it's going to be really interesting. You know what I think the evolution is? I think it's two centre-backs who can be left on their own with pace. And then your full-backs tuck in. Inverted full-backs next to your holding midfielder. And then when you get broken upon, you've got three central players. I think that's the evolution that Ten Hag wants. But I don't think he can do it until he's got his two centre-backs. And then, you know, McTominay's in the box. Bruno's in and around the box. Rasmus, wide players. Oh shit, they're breaking away on us. Inverted right back, inverted left back, and Mainu or Casemiro or whatever like that. Maybe that is the plan. But to do that, you've got to have two centre-backs who are happy to be left on their own. Well, that's never going to be Lindelof and Maguire. It worked in the second half with Shaw and Maguire. But I think we need a couple of centre-backs to come into this football club that are mobile. And I think it will change the way we play. Hi, Mark. Didn't see the press conference, but was Erik Ten Hag asked about Ahmad? He's a good player and would like to see him in action in the future, says Robert. Well, there's an embargoed section tonight, Robert, but he wasn't asked about it directly. But look, even I will sit here as somebody that, if you said to me, play Scott McTominay as a holding midfielder, I'd say he's a championship player. If you said to me, play Scott McTominay as a number 8, box to box, I'd say he's a Crystal Palace player. If you said to me, play him as a support striker or a number 10 or whatever like that, getting in the box all the time, I'd say, well, that is very interesting because he might score you 10 goals a season. And anybody who scores you 10 goals, Premier League goals a season cannot be dismissed as a championship or a mid-table player. He has a skill. He has a skill, and that is an ability to score goals in the opposition's penalty box. Can he develop the other skills? Well, you don't really want him to. You want him to be around the box. Anyway, also, he spoke about the Bayern Munich game. This is what he had to say about the Bayern Munich game. As manager, basically they were saying to him, Bayern Munich game's coming up. Huge game. Tuesday night we're playing Bayern Munich. Even if we win, we might not go through. But we won't talk about that because we've got a game tomorrow. And that's exactly what Ten Hag said. I can't think about selections for Tuesday. Obviously, we're aware of it. My coaches are aware of it. My fitness department are aware of it. And we'll have discussions around play load of players, etc. and all that. But the most important game as a manager is you've got the next game. The next game is the most important game. And as I said, this is what Ten Hag says. And as I said, Bournemouth is a tough game. It's the Premier League. Everyone's killing everybody. It's not like you can pick a team of reserves against Bournemouth and think we're going to win. That used to happen with Sir Alex. There was certain games at home, some of you old enough will remember, Man United playing Fulham at home, 20 years ago, you could probably rest half your team knowing Bayern Munich's on Tuesday and still scrap out a win. Not anymore. Not anymore. He's got to go strong tomorrow. and then see what happens against Bayern on Tuesday. I mean, that Bayern game's massive, but it's not in my head at the moment. I'm like, we're 3 points off 4th place. There's some big games happening this weekend. We need to beat Bournemouth. And it'd be very easy to have our first draw of the season tomorrow. So we need to beat Bournemouth, and he needs to pick the players that played so well on Wednesday. That's my thought process on it. Anyway, don't forget tonight, it's the Friday night show. And if you want to get one of these beauties, this is my favourite Christmas print this year. Treble winners, baubles, every single one has got the names of the players that won the treble. So if you're in the pub or Christmas dinner or wherever, people are going to go, he is or she is legendary. We ship them worldwide. Links in the description, or go to United Stand Shopify. Also in the video description is our Christmas show. I don't know how many's left. There was 30 this morning, extra tickets that we've put out. It was sold out, but we've managed to fit another 30 seats in. So you could get a ticket still if you want to. That's on Monday night. Big week next week. Thanks everyone for watching. You are legends. We are back at 8 o'clock tonight. It's the Friday night show. You know what happens on the Friday night show. I'm running up that hill from the pub to speak to you good people. You're legends. Welcome to the members club. Anybody who was new, I think we had a couple come in there. I can see Liam's a member. Junior Films is a member. Mikal is a member. And I'll speak to you all in a little bit. Take care.